does put a smile on my face.
Welcome to the review discussion of Avengers Infinity War, or for some reason, as hashtags keep correcting it on Twitter, Wars. It was one war, I believe. Or as we'd like to call this stream,
spoilers.
Dylan gave this 7.5, so let's have Nick and Ash bash him.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well,
I'm not a violent person, but it's warranted in this case.
I hear if you don't give this movie a 10, it's big trouble. It's big trouble town, some say.
Big Trouble in Little Chinatown?
I don't know. I've of course reviewed this movie, given my thoughts, and mine are kind of out there. You two have kind of kept a more hush hush on your opinions.
I'll put it
Nick gave it a score. I guess Ash has just said he's loved it, seen it twice. I think he's all love it more than me. If you can't see down below, and if you didn't look at the title, wherever it is, if you're on YouTube or fucking Twitch, if you didn't see the Bevins, this is a full spoilers. This isn't 5 minutes non-spoilers. This is all spoilers. Go, none of that shit. So jumping straight into it, and then we're gonna go topic by topic. I've broken down the groups of characters, kind of like Iron Man's group, whatever the sections that they are broken off in the movie, so we can discuss it easier that way. But off the bat, starting with you, Nick, what are your overall quick summation thoughts of the movie?
I love this movie. Like I said in my mini review, like I had moments of like giddy joy and like almost weeping happy. Like I hadn't got that reaction from any other property other than Star Wars, but I don't know, it just drew it out of me, and I didn't think Marvel could do it, but they did.
Gave it a 9.5. I think that's the high score I think I've seen you give a movie in a mini review.
No, I gave Death of Stalin 10.
Oof, that's right.
What else?
Do you have them all listed down somewhere?
Yeah, if you search the hashtag Nick's mini review on Twitter, you can find all of the mini reviews there.
It's true, you can.
Yeah.
You have no problems with it that stand out on top of your mind at all, though, Nick? Nothing. It just
no, like major problems. No, not really.
All right, Ash, give me your quick overall thoughts of the movie.
Yeah, it was really good. I enjoyed it. I probably wouldn't give it a 9, maybe a 9, 8.5.
98.5.
He scores out of 100. He's going on that 100-point scale.
Yeah. I think it was maybe a bit long, possibly. It didn't feel like it though. I mean, but that second time when I had a lot to drink before, it felt very long.
I will admit, I forgot how the length of it, and because it was a 6-something p.m. showing, I had been drinking water throughout the day, and I had to rush off twice to the toilet because I have a bad bladder. When I drink water, it just goes through me.
Yeah, they should have had an intermission.
They should have. Sometimes, I swear, for these movies, but I know where I'd go to the toilet on my second viewing. Again.
I think that's where I went to the toilet the second time.
Do you know where? Where'd you go?
When they get to the forge.
That's where I'd go, when they get to the forge. That is the worst part of the movie.
Yeah, I'll go there.
That is the toilet scene. The forging of the toilet break. All right. And if you haven't read my review, my overall opinions are that it is good, considering I thought it was going to be really, really bad. I think it's about as good as you could do, given trying to fit this many characters and this story into a movie that's 2.5, 2 hours 40, whatever the length of the movie is. I think it should have been like 4 hours. I think it would have been better off as a mini TV series or something. Like, that wasn't going to happen because that's not what this is. But just for the sake of the story, it just feels like it's impossible to fit what they're trying to do in a movie, and I think it suffers a lot for it because it's just simply so many characters. But overall, I think it's a joy to watch, and it is. If you've been watching these movies for 10 years, from day one, from day dot, from when Iron Man came out to now, it is just happy go lucky, just everyone.
Yeah.
So
I think it's very much a culmination of everything before it, leading up to this point. Like, if you only have a passing knowledge of the MCU, you will. I would, if I hadn't seen like 50% of the MCU movies, I would have scored it a lot lower. But with having that knowledge, I think it just puts it up there, because you kind of have to look at it as a whole, as opposed to like an individual movie.
Mm-hmm.
My mind, anyway.
All right, talking about the many characters. So we're gonna go section by section as I've broken them down, even though some different groups kind of come together. But the first group that I want to talk about is Iron Man, Doctor Strange, Drax, Mantis, Spider-Man, and Quill, which is what I would consider the core Titan group that ends up on Titan, I suppose.
Yeah.
Even though they kind of come from different degrees, that's what I consider a part of the team. So kind of character by character, or whatever way you want to go for it. What did you think of Iron Man's story in this? Because I felt like I didn't think it was very good. I felt like he's come to a stage between Civil War and now to this, where I feel like they don't really know what they're doing with him in this role. And the second where I thought he was going to die, I was really happy. I thought that was actually going to do it, and that was going to be the big character that they was going to kill off. Yeah. And I felt that was a good way for him to go. It would have been really great to see Thanos kill someone that means something, that, you know, a founding Avenger member. Tony Stark go for it, especially when there's all these theories that apparently people reckon that Potts on the phone says that she's pregnant, and like as she's cutting off. So that would have been like a good play to come back. Oh, he's got a child, but he's dead, etc., etc. But they didn't do it, and I was very disappointed. How does everyone else feel about Tony in this one?
Yeah, I think he was okay. Like, I believe that he was reluctant to do, reluctant. He said he was like going to hang it all up, but he still has the arc reactor in his chest, and like maybe if something happens, I can do it.
He's addicted to it, kind of. I feel, maybe
with what you said about him dying, like I think my personal opinion, like just jumping to the end of this movie, all the ones that survive are the original Avengers and
a couple extras, but
a couple their supporting cast, and I think some of them will sacrifice themselves in the next one, and that's how they like wrap up their storyline.
I think if they were to kill Tony in the next movie, I would just be like, why didn't you do it in the first one? Because it was such a good way to do it.
Because he's a name that brings in the money.
People come watch this just for Spider-Man these days. Let's be honest. It wouldn't really. You don't need Robert
I
Downey
don't
Jr.
think it matters that he's a name.
I don't think it matters at all. There was a stage
Black
where
Panther
it was
had no name people, and it made how much money? Yeah.
It at the moment, the weekend was like 235 opening or something like that. It's now second to Force Awakens, which is 248 or something.
Yeah, you got to think executives don't think like that either.
No, but there was a day and age where, you know, Robert Downey Jr. was a big name to bring people to comic book movies. That doesn't matter anymore. It really doesn't matter. You can make all of the new Avengers no-name actors, and it doesn't matter. I really don't think it matters.
Unless they're bad.
Unless they're bad, that is true. But at this stage, I think it's just more important about people just go see it because it's a Marvel movie. Like they've hit that crescendo, so it doesn't really matter who's in the movies at this stage as long as they're good actors. I feel like. Ash, what do you think of Tony?
Yeah, he was good. I enjoyed his banter with Peter Quill and Doctor Strange. It was all fun. Yeah.
I saw people online saying that I'm a big fan of the Doctor Strange movie. I don't know how you feel about it, but I've seen a lot of comments about Strange being compared to the Hulk, where he fits better in a team movie and not his solo movie. But as a fan of the Doctor Strange movie, I think I gave it a 9, actually. I thought it was really, really great solo comic book movie.
I think he was kind of part of a team in his own movie anyway.
Yeah, I mean, he is. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. I think it was great. I think people are just saying that because maybe the villain wasn't as terrific, but then that's the majority of Marvel movies. So
correct. Yeah, most Marvel movies are terrible villains. But we'll talk about Thanos in a little bit. Not that I think he's terrible, but all right. So then you've got a couple of the Guardians here. You've got Drax, Mantis, and Peter Quill, Star-Lord. In whatever order you want to tackle those.
Drax and Mantis are an excellent comedy duo.
Yeah,
they are. He has my favorite joke. Drax had the joke that made me laugh the most. I can't remember exact line. You've seen it twice, Ash. It's the "What is Gamora?" or how is Gamora?
No.
I'll do you one better.
What is Gamora?
What is Gamora? That line made me crack up the most. It's just his delivery, I think.
Yeah.
Like his comedic timing in Drax has proven to be the best part of the two Guardians movies. Like he has all the best jokes, and I think he had the funniest parts in this.
I also loved the joke when they were talking about the over unconscious Thor. And you are a dude. This is a man.
Yeah, this is a man.
It's an angel pirate.
Yeah.
That scene was great.
It was great. Mantis in this movie, I feel like it's cool. I feel like because this is set several years after Guardians got Volume 2, this is like 4 years after, I think. Do you know?
No idea. This timeline is messed up.
I think it's like 4 years. It's at least several years after Guardians 2, because Guardians 1 and 2, I think, take place in the same year, and then this is like several years down the line. So you can see there's some history between Peter and Gamora, because their whole love life has kind of hit a point where they're together, or I guess they're actually properly together. But some of the characters seem to have grown. Like they don't give hints of stuff that's going along. Like Mantis just seems like Mantis still. Drax just seems like Drax still. Rocket just seems like
Mantis seems like a character there to be killed off.
No, Mantis is good.
I do wonder sometimes if they'll regret putting her in this movie, if they'll just like, because it's now it's locked in point that she has been with them since the end of Volume 2 through to this at least. Where I always figured she'd be the kind of person who might be with the team for a year and then drop off to go somewhere else or do something else. So, but biggest thing she does is hold down Thanos' head, which would have been huge. She would have been the defining factor of them winning.
Yeah.
If Peter hadn't have fucked it up. How do we all feel about that moment? Because I see a lot of people online. Everyone loved him. Everyone loved Star-Lord, Guardians. Everyone loved Star-Lord. And then he does this, and I see so many people in forums. And
I feel like it's in character, isn't it?
Yeah, I feel like it is character, but so many people, I can't forgive him for that. You idiot, And it is, if you're looking at it from an outsider's perspective, you're like, you fucking idiot. But then in that moment, you kind of get it if you put it inside your head. I mean, he is an idiot for doing it, and he kind of ruins, I suppose, what could have been a moment.
So close. His hand was out of that gauntlet.
Very, very close. It was quite ridiculous. How do you feel about that? Don't care.
Yeah.
Well, it was just a point in the movie. I wasn't overly emotional about it. Like Ashley said, I felt it was in character with Star-Lord.
Yeah. And it progressed.
No, I'd be pretty upset if I found out that Stacy was thrown off a ledge for fucking...
Yeah, that's upsetting, I suppose. That's correct. Yeah. Fair enough. Yeah. Spider-Man. Peter Parker in this film. He kind of does nothing. I feel like he's there. He does a lot of cool stuff, but for the majority of it, he does nothing that's consequential, or important apart from being the person that's there with Tony to help take down whatever the one of the Black Hand people, the one in the ship.
More.
Black Mom.
Yeah, Black Mom, whatever. But I still believe that he would have figured it out and done that himself, even without him showing up. So I'll give him one thing. He gives my second favorite performance in the movie of just him delivering that line of I don't want to go. Or
wrenching.
Broke me.
That was so believable.
Of all the ones that died,
he is definitely the best and most believable. That is the most heartbreaking.
He's still a child.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you can tell he's still a child. Between that moment and one of the greatest moments in Homecoming is also when he gets all the stuff collapsed on him. Because up until that point, he's like, yeah, I can do anything, take on whatever, He's big-go-lucky kid to hit all these powers, and he just wants to be there with the cool kids, and he doesn't really think through the consequences of his actions or what could really happen. And then when he gets hit and locked under all those stones, that's, once again, Tom Holland kind of showing his acting chops and pulling off these really gut-wrenching delivery of these lines, and he does it there and he does it here once again. That is the part that sells that scene for me, is him delivering that line, because basically everyone else is just gone, doing. He's the one. What did everyone else think of Spider-Man in this movie overall, though?
I liked every scene he was in. I thought he was very entertaining. I don't need every character to have made something to do. Like it's a team
three-act
effort
arc,
kind of thing. Yeah.
Fair enough. Ash?
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed seeing Spider-Man do stuff in space.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Michael,
And I don't think he was there to help take him down, because I think he was just there inconsequentially, thinking he can try to do something. Like,
that's just him
Tony
trying to
said
prove himself again.
to like drop off.
It's just him trying to prove himself to Tony again, especially after Homecoming. I feel
What did you guys think of the suit?
I think it was cool. It was cool to see Scarlet Spider on the TVs.
Yeah.
But in the comics, he gets that during Civil War. So
yeah, they're just throwing their suits around and willy nilly. It's kind of like the Star Wars thing of C-3PO getting the red arm and then adding a story element for why, but really it's just to sell action figures.
Yeah,
So...
well, that's it. And I like it. I know, for whatever reason, they're making the most out of his relationship with Tony at the moment, because who knows where the story will go, and they might have that avenue or whatever.
His father figure.
Yeah.
Mr. Stark, yeah.
His ward.
Yeah, that's true. Michael in the chat said a woman in his cinema started crying when he delivered that line, so which I'd believe. That nearly got a tear out of me, so I completely.
But that involved Dylan not being heartless.
Well, we'll talk about the ending when we get to it. I don't want to jump too far ahead. It's such a thing. Anyone got any more comments about any of those characters right there before we?
I want to just mention one more funny thing about Drax that I remembered is when Star-Lord and Gamora were talking about the relationship, and Drax was standing there thinking he was invisible.
Oh yeah,
that was pretty good.
He's like, you cannot see me, and then Mantis just walks in. Hi, Drax. Damn it!
2 hours.
You can't just want him to be like, fuck's sake, and like chuck him down or something like that. Like, that was a really good scene. Yeah, I laughed at that one too. This movie's pretty funny. This movie is pretty funny.
Yeah, it was.
I'll give it
considering.
That. Considering the elements. Yeah. All right.
Funny good.
Team 2 I would like to talk about are Thor, Groot, Rocket, and if you want to talk about him, the cameo of Estrie, whatever his fucking name was, Peter Dinklage's cameo. It's not really a cameo, but his character, you can chuck him in here. Basically, the Let's Go Forge an Ultimate Weapon team, whatever you want to be.
Yeah.
What does everyone think about Thor in this movie? Because he's coming straight out of Ragnarok. This movie picks up basically straight out of Ragnarok. Yep. And then I feel like they fuck him over again. I feel like much like in Age of Ultron, where he fucks off and looks in a well or whatever, and that's the worst part of Age of Ultron, they shove him over once again to go do the side quest. That is the worst part of the movie. It's not as terrible as what he does in Age of Ultron, not as boring. However, I do consider it, in context of this movie, to be the worst and most boring part of this movie. Just him doing this whole quest to forge a weapon. I didn't like it much. How does everyone else feel?
It was okay.
Yeah.
I think it paid off with what he got in the end.
Exactly, yeah. It was very a non-player until right up in the end, where I think that they showed the full potential of what Thor can do.
Mm. Yeah. Do you think it's worth spending most of his time?
I think they could have cut down those scenes for whatever reason, but I think he still needed to go there for story reasons.
I think he still needs to go there for story reasons. I think you get him out of there faster. You get him to Wakanda before the battle starts, and you get him to have some interactions with some of the people there before the battle. Although it's cool just to see him fly in out of nowhere. It's cool. I would have much rather... See, one of my problems with this movie is just not enough slow character moments.
But that's never what this was going to be.
No, but I want to see them talk at least for 2 minutes or a minute or something along those lines. And
he's going to be in the next one. That's why he didn't. Yep.
Fight me, Ash. Fight me.
Fight me. I think it works better him just flying in, sort of saving the day.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
What do you think of Groot in this movie? I think he is the worst character.
I don't think he had barely anything enough to do, so I didn't have a problem with him.
I believed him as a sulky teenager.
I fucking hated him. So annoying. They took the sulky teenager joke from, oh, that's kind of funny for the first time he's on screen doing it. By the end of it, seeing him walk around that fucking game console, I wanted to backhand him across the face and tell him to go to his room.
But that's teenagers.
Yeah, but it was just annoying me. It was beyond the point of fun. It was annoying.
Hey, Dylan doesn't like teenagers.
No, I
But
don't.
that's what teenagers do. They do it beyond the point of
was
being
annoying me.
fun.
It's annoying me to the point that I cannot watch 2+ hours of that. If that's the Groot that they want to use in Guardians Volume 3, I am not down. I'm not going to have a good time watching that movie.
Well, I don't think it will be. I think he will have grown again.
Well, no,
Well,
'cause
he's currently
it's back.
dead,
It's past. Guardians Volume 3 will be set before this movie.
No,
Oh, okay.
You don't reckon?
I don't
Oh, no,
think
no,
so.
it won't be. It's set after
I don't
this.
think.
Oh, so I hope
other,
he's a
other
fucking
than
adult.
Captain Marvel, I don't think any of them was set prior.
No,
to
you're
this.
right. Guardians 3 will be after this, which means there's still a chance he's that horrible teen. Look, I didn't like him.
Look, I don't think it would be horrible teen. I think if they were going to show teen Groot, this was the place to show, not in a full-length Guardians one.
Well, I hope you're right, because I hope by the next film he's just...
He put the axe together. That was the moment. He put the axe together, and then from then he was all good.
After he's like, better fucking put the axe together, I guess. Like, better fucking
What
save
is
my,
that?
save my game.
He's still-
Okay, here's what could he have done that wouldn't have annoyed you?
Look, not take the joke
To be
so far.
fair,
I just
they
feel
were
like
flying
they took
in
the
shit
joke.
most of the movie.
I don't think it was a joke. I think it was just him acting as a teenager. I don't think it was played like obviously there was comedic value in it, but I don't think it was played solely for comedy.
Screenshot my face of you, like, so, like, Dylan's reaction. So, Dylan, that was the moment of Dylan versus Ash and Dylan. No, I think the character was taken too far. Whatever you want to call it, the personality trait, the joke, the character, everything. I thought it was just done to a point. Like the whole stereotypical teenager walking around playing the game console thing. It was a type of stereotype, like the grunts, like, whoa, what's your problem? It was a stereotype of your average teenager played up for a joke that I thought was done badly. IMO.
Well, you're wrong, so let's move on.
All right, we got... All right, so then you've got Rocket, of course.
Yeah, he was good.
Yeah,
It was Rocket.
Rocket is Rocket. Rocket in all the movies is kind of just there, I guess. He makes
I
jokes.
enjoyed his him being the captain. Yeah.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. The whole Thor interaction. They're cool. That was a cool interaction to see.
Yeah.
Before they all split up, the Thor part.
Yeah.
And then I also like the part where you talk to Bucky later.
Yeah.
It's like, how much for the arm?
Oh yeah, yeah. How much for the gardener's off for
How
sale?
much for the arm? No.
I'm
How much for the
I'm
arm?
going to be leaving with that arm.
Yeah. But not believe it. I'm leaving with that arm.
Before we get too far from it, can we talk about the opening to this movie with Thor and because that like set the stakes for what Thanos was going to be for the rest of the movie?
We can talk about it here if you want. I'll save it for later, but it doesn't
We
really
can talk
matter.
about it later.
Yeah, no, I got it.
As long as we don't leave it.
No,
Yeah.
we're not leaving it. No, I was never going to talk about the ending or the start of this movie. I thought we'd just talk about...
Okay, two things.
Let's just talk about everything in between.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to what I consider Team 3 then, which is Captain America, Black Widow, Hulk, War Machine, Falcon, Black Panther, and Bucky. So kind of the core at Wakanda later team, even though they don't really get together towards the end of the movie. I just didn't want to split them up, and I've left a couple characters off into their own sub story, if you can count who they are. Captain America in this movie did sweet fuck all. I felt like surprisingly did sweet fuck all in my opinion. I thought going in he would have been one of the big players, and I think judging off what he does in this movie, which isn't much, that he's going to have a big part in the next film, and that considering that's his last one, I guess it kind of makes sense. They cut him short in this one, and then because he has this cool, the moment where he comes in was cool. That was badass. The part where he's standing behind the train, the silhouette walking out, all that was that was really, really cool. But then his story in this movie doesn't really have one. He's there, saves people, goes to Wakanda, gets into a battle, has a battle. Cool. He doesn't.
Well, Bucky's fine, so he doesn't need to do anything.
Yeah,
I think he served a part well enough to be just
He played his role.
Yeah, the leader that everyone rallies behind, I guess.
Yeah, if that's all he can be, I guess at this stage. I feel like Tony was definitely put in the position I thought he would be, if that makes sense. Like I thought that Tony in this film would have had the less to do, and I thought Captain America was going to have the amount that Tony did have. And if anyone was going to have a nearly die scene or a die scene, I thought it was going to be him, not Iron Man. So they kind of swapped him over on me.
He had arguably the most, I guess how you want to look at it, not visually impressive, but most impressive feat, as in stopping Thanos in his tracks.
I would argue that. I'd argue the most impressive feat by any character in this movie is Scarlet Witch, who is solely holding back Thanos and trying to destroy a stone at the same time.
Yep.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
Like, not physically with her hands, but she is with her powers keeping Thanos at bay. He's coming slowly, but she is keeping him at bay while destroying a soul stone, the soul stone, which I think is more impressive than just holding his hand back. See Captain America break a stone and keep him back. Can't do that. Hashtag girl power, get it.
So Thor restarted as a star. That was pretty impressive.
That was pretty impressive, but he had help. Rocket.
And then he held the iris open while he was getting fried by a sun. I mean,
Are we gonna say the sun's more powerful than Thanos? I don't know.
I mean, you throw Thanos into a sun, I don't know if he lives.
Yeah, it's a good question. Why don't they just do
I
that?
don't know.
You just solved the second movie, Ash. Let's just throw him into a fucking sun. Why? That's the answer to all the problems here.
Spoilers, everyone. I'm sorry.
They're gonna throw him into a stun. Anyone else got anything on Cap?
I hated the design of his shields or whatever his shield.
I did not like that either. Yeah, I agree. It was not as good. It just doesn't. It's not as memorable. It's not as memorable or stand out as his typical just circular American flag.
What's he been using this whole time then?
Nothing. I think that's the idea, right? Like, how long is this set after Civil War? Like, months?
I can't imagine it's too much different.
Like
So
6 months
they
or
say
something?
Vision and Scarlet Witch say 2 years. They've been stealing moments or whatever.
2
So
years.
could be 2 years.
So they've been on the run doing whatever their Black Ops missions on the side for 2 years.
Yeah, I guess.
I feel like Captain America's capable enough to do it without a shield.
I feel like 2 years is a very long time for them just to
Considering
skip
if
ahead.
they're only just like theoretically,
But he
taking
didn't
down
have any
other
guns or
people,
anything on him. So what's he?
punching them.
He's just using them old-fashioned fists. Yeah, I think
What happens when they shoot at him?
I don't know. Maybe he's using garbage bin lid.
They need some graphic novels to explain in between.
Zoom in between novelizations and
Yeah, get on that.
Black Widow
Take
in this movie
a book out of Star Wars.
probably says paragraph of lines. I feel like maybe and then they're talking about her having a solo movie now, which I think is interesting. If you're saying 2 years, now that I'm thinking, if that's really how long it is, a good way for them to cover that 2 year period would be maybe Black Widow solo movie. She's doing a Black Ops mission for the Secret Avengers or whatever they want to call them, maybe.
yeah.
Because I think that's more interesting and a cool time period to cover than just like her working for Fury or her origin story or something along those lines. That's a cool period where they could be like, Captain America sent you off on this fucking mission to go undercover somewhere, blah 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 blah. In this time of period where that we know about that we didn't get to see, I guess. Does anyone? Nothing.
I
much
think
to
it's
say
that
there,
pretty cool fighting scenes.
Yeah,
what, the one where the girl squad fight?
That one and the fight at the beginning at the train station.
Yeah, that's good. They're cool fights, yeah. Hulk. I think Hulk's an interesting character in this movie.
yes.
Or
Well, technically, Bruce Banner.
Bruce Banner's an interesting character in this movie. I like what they've done with it. They've gone with the whole idea that, and they do this in the comics. I don't know if it's in this story or a completely different story, but they do. There is a story in the comics where Hulk is like this and he gets scared to come out, basically.
Yeah.
Like
He got a beat down from Thanos and he's realized he's not unstoppable
tough.
like he once thought he was, and he's like, no, I don't want to do this.
Especially after spending like 2 years being top dog on Sakaar.
Yeah.
Nothing can stop me. I it's because he just screams no the whole time.
Yeah.
And tries to get him out,
Yeah.
and they do funny stuff with it. Like I laughed when I was watching it. The whole like him going green, like trying to come out, like come out, man, you do it.
Yeah.
When I thought about it after, I thought it would have been a cool element to swing it more towards the sad side, like play with the idea of the Hulk as a character dealing with some sort of PTSD or, you know, stress or something along those lines. I know this is like not, these movies aren't exactly the darkest movies, but they didn't even attempt to do something along those lines. It's just, oh, it's funny, he's upset, he got his ass beat, he won't
I
come
don't
out.
know. I got a feeling
How do
it's.
you show that without showing the Hulk, though?
I don't know, I'd have to sit in a writer's room with Marvel executives and talk it out, I suppose.
Feel like that's something they're going to deal with in the next Avengers film.
But don't you hint at it here and not treat it like it's as big as a joke? Because it was old jokes in here about this, you know. Not for 1 second was Bruce like, come, like, what's wrong? Or like, what happened? Or like, you got your ass beat, so what? Some line like that.
I
Every
don't
time
think
he
he had
was trying
the
to get the
time.
Hulk out, he was a bit preoccupied.
Yeah, I don't think he had the time to.
He had the
explore
time to
fun.
yell, come on, man, get the hell out, or whatever he says.
Yeah, come on, you
could've
big green asshole or something.
Yeah, you big green arsehole.
In the middle of a fight while getting beat to death.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's not going to go, come on, Hulk, what's wrong?
They spent like a minute of the joke of him turning green and not coming out. So I feel like the time is here if you change parts. Anyway, anyone else? So I really liked Bruce in this movie though. Overall, he had interesting interactions, especially when he like the first time Black Widow walks out.
Yeah.
He's like, hi.
Is he the only character that interacted with everyone?
Yeah. Except the Guardians.
No.
Not Spider-Man, maybe. Like I can't remember if they talked or they was in the same place together, but I don't know if they actually talked.
No.
So there might be a couple characters he skipped over, but he's definitely the character that talked to the most. I feel like, yeah. Yeah, that's a funny. Michael just pointed out the line. You're embarrassing me in front of the space wizard. That was one of the funnier lines. Also,
I don't think they were space wizards or just wizards.
The space wizard. Yeah, that was
No, just wizards.
There's one thing I want to bring up, like the fact that Doctor Strange has come out of nowhere and magic hasn't been, like, other than the Doctor Strange movie, magic hasn't been a thing
in the Marvel universe.
Yeah,
until
and
Doctor
they just
Strange,
go, oh, what the fuck? You can do magic? What's all this?
Even, well, I suppose
You see aliens,
Loki?
you're like, yeah.
Loki.
But even Loki, they sell it in the early Thor movies as they're not gods, they're massively technologically advanced aliens.
Yeah, but Loki is magical too. Like he's not
To an
Mystic
extent.
Arcs, Doctor Strange level, but he is magic at some sort. And they even play that up in Ragnarok with, you know, kind of. I can't remember the exact line, but the first time when they meet and all this sort of stuff, he's like, "I'll show you, you mad," you know, something along those lines.
Yeah.
So, but I can't think of what else. It is weird that I suppose most of the enemies they've been used to facing are aliens or things or weapons or weaponized things, and then Tony comes face to face with this, not only Doctor Strange out of left field and be like, this is cool, this is fine, doesn't freak out. But then he sees more who's using similar abilities, you know, magical stuff, and he's still just like,
Portals
that's
out
fine.
of nowhere and fucking all this
Doesn't
shit.
question it for a hot second. Yeah. So, War Machine plus Falcon are just there. I don't feel like you need more out of those characters. You get about as much as I would have expected. They did.
A couple of minutes, a couple of seconds of some fun banter.
They're there. Yeah. I think War Machine got the most. The coolest scene was him just shoving the whole army dudes, like the holograms away or whatever, and saying, "Well, there's a court martial."
Yeah.
That was a cool moment for his
And they
character.
also, I want to touch on that they also in that scene tell why Hawkeye and Ant-Man aren't in it as well.
Oh yeah, that quick throwaway line of, "Oh, they're
like house arrest or something.
house
like
arrest
that.
or something, whatever it is."
They took a deal.
They took a deal, house arrest. It's I did laugh at that, but I appreciate when they make sure in these movies to throw in the
Put some effort
throwaway
in.
lines. Just chuck in a little something so that people are wondering like, why are
I
they
think
in it? There it is. There's the answer.
I think it also sets up Hawkeye coming into it pissed off that theoretically his family's been fucking dusted.
Do you reckon they'll dust his family? That's dark if his daughter's dusted.
Maybe not
Yeah,
all of them, but some of them.
If his
Motivation for
daughter's
him to come
dust,
back or
that
whatever.
is
It's
dust.
meant to be 50% of the population.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Yeah, but
we know he's going to be in it. They did the covers. We've seen him on set, etc., etc., etc. He has this mohawk haircut or whatever the picture was they put out of him. So all these people freaking out, like, why isn't he on the poster? It was just like, from the get-go, I'm just...
Not in the movie.
He's not in this one. He's in part 2. It's fucking obvious as shit. He's just in part 2. They filmed them back to back. Oh, but I saw him on set. They filmed them back to back.
Yeah.
You've seen him in the second one.
They Lord of the Rings this shit.
They Lord of the Rings this shit. So,
Yeah.
I don't really think there's much else to say on Falcon or War Machine. No. Bucky. Once again, he's kind of I do find it interesting to a degree because I thought that they would spend more time setting him up in this movie to take over the Captain America mantle, if that was the road that they were going to head down, which is a road that we thought they were going to head down ever since Winter Soldier, I suppose. But they really don't do a lot with him here. He never really gets any moments that stand out. Like he's cool, he's on screen, he looks cool, he's the back and forth.
Picks up Rocket.
Picks up Rocket, yeah, cool. He has some cool moments, but I mean character moments that would go towards setting him up to take over that mantle. And then when they get rid of him or dust him, that's when I was like, maybe they're not going down that road, because I feel like if he's not going to be in part 2, that really takes away from the idea of him taking over. That
I honestly
mantle.
think that they're going to go the Falcon route.
But they got rid of him as well.
That's a good point. Yeah, it's a good point, because yeah, you'd think one or the other would be left in part 2 to kind of have a lot of screen time to lead towards that taking over of the mantle and leading towards everything that's going to come after part 2, whatever after there is. But interesting.
Maybe there's no Captain America. Maybe the world
Yeah,
doesn't need
it's
Captain.
interesting. They go, no one can live up to Steve Rogers.
Or they're going to
legacy
fight
or-
over the mantle for a whole movie.
Civil War 2.
Yeah.
Please don't. Please don't.
Pick a side.
Anyone else got anything on Bucky?
I think
Cool
it's
arm.
It's a cool arm. Yeah, how much for it?
Do you think it was vibranium?
Yeah, it's
It would
vibranium.
had to have been.
Yeah, it's vibranium.
I don't think anything in Wakanda's not vibranium.
Yeah, isn't everything like they eat off plates made of vibranium? Isn't that how it works? They just eat off Captain America shells for dinner. Yeah, that's fine. Talking about vibranium, Wakanda, Black Panther. As someone who thinks Black Panther is the #1 Marvel movie, I think it's the best Marvel movie, and just coming off that movie, don't give me that face, Ash, you motherfucker. I see you. They coming off that movie. Coming off that face and riding on a high of Black Panther, I was disappointed with the amount of time he got in this movie. I feel like if this wasn't coming out as close after Black Panther, I feel like they might have fixed some of that. They would have had him more involved quicker, just because of the reception to him. But they didn't.
Maybe
know
they
that
didn't
at the
feel
time.
like they needed to because everybody's already had their fill.
No,
Not only that-
that's not a true thing.
Not only that, like how far after Black Panther is this?
I mean, what are we saying?
Nobody
Years?
knows.
Okay,
Let's just guess
theoretically, it's not long after. Like, why would he be as involved with world geopolitical affairs if it's only just after they've announced themselves to the world? Like, he's not into the fold like the rest of them are.
I will say on that, because you said geopolitical, I did find it weird that I can't remember the character's name, whatever. He's like the general girl, the general leader. Michonne, thank you. When she's like pulls out that object at one stage, cool, rolls that bowl off her arm that shoots out the holograph, fucking cool. And then she's like, an object has entered our space or whatever. I'm like,
Yeah.
Since when do you care about fucking, like, when do you have fucking satellites up there tracking shit? You've only cared about what's happening in Wakanda up until recently. The timeline thing is weird.
Found out they needed stuff, so they probably just whipped it up in like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Maybe, I guess so. They just chucked some
The sister can design
satellites up into space. I don't think it's a big critique to say that Black Panther needed to be in the movie. That's definitely from a personal level, and I do find it interesting that he is also one of the dusted ones, because he is one of the most loved Marvel characters at the moment. I feel you can safely say that movie has got hella praise. Lots of people love it. Lots of people love T'Challa. And it is interesting that he is dust. So, how do you all feel about Black Panther in this movie?
I think it was good and one of the most important characters in the movie, because without Black Panther and Wakanda, it's the whole place to go to deal with the what stone is it that the Vision's got?
Mind.
Yeah, the Mind Stone, to deal with that whole situation. Like if he wasn't a part of it, like what would they do?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I think he played a pretty major role, considering.
His land did. Just use him for his land. Racist. It's how it is. I see it. I see how it is.
Just take advantage of the black man.
Yeah, take advantage of the black man.
The empower the people of Wakanda too, being warriors standing up against the oncoming threat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was cool to see. I can't remember his name. You know, the woo, woo,
Yeah.
woo.
Yeah, M'Baku.
M'Baku. Yeah. Seeing him again
Always good.
It was really good. That was great to see. Ash, you got anything on Black Panther?
No, I think we've covered everything.
We did. You didn't say shit.
Yeah. You guys did. Yeah.
Okay.
I know. Fighting was cool.
Yeah. There, I will point out that scene I found. So there's that scene where the battle just starts and Captain America and Black Panther charge in to battle head to head.
They
That
race
was cool.
off.
They race off.
Yeah.
That was cool. Them.
And Naboo.
Why did they jump in the water though? That would be.
It did remind me in the.
Why wouldn't you jump over the water?
Yeah, I don't know why they did that, but it is good that you've got these two leaders that aren't like, go my men. Thousands of soldiers pour forth while the general, the leader of the group, like stands back not to get hurt. It's like, here are the two leaders of groups going, go, and then they lead the charge in. So,
Well, I want to bring up something that probably wouldn't make sense. It wouldn't make sense in real life, but it wouldn't make sense to show action for the movie. Like, they're all standing in a firing line, and a bunch of monsters that have no range capability charging at them. Why do they not just stand there and just shoot them all down as they're coming at them?
that's not as cool.
I know it's not as cool, but it would make sense.
It would make
They're so technologically advanced.
A big fuck off.
The best referee in the world.
Yeah. Fucking.
And they all charge into fucking melee combat, everyone.
Yeah, you are correct. Where are all those ships that were in the Black Panther movie? Just hover a bunch of those
Exactly.
above the hull and back and forth. What blew them all up?
Each other.
I'm pretty sure they've built more by now. Even if you're going
Let's
to say
build
they
that.
were all
Cover
blew
the-
up by the end of Black Panther, they've made more by now, surely. Refuses to find
They
plot
got
holes.
other priorities,
Okay, like what?
like getting into the world.
I mean,
They gotta get that Starbucks.
Okay.
Gotta get that Starbucks.
All right, let's move on to Team 4, which I've put as Thanos, Gamora, and Nebula. So the family, I guess, is what you...
Hold on, you missed part of the other team.
What part?
The Vision and Scarlet Witch.
Nope, they're a separate one.
They're a separate
they're a
team
separate
again.
team. Yeah.
Okay.
Jeez, I thought you said 3 teams at the start.
No, I
You
said a
did.
few. I said a few. Or if I said 3, fuck that. It's a few. By now, in case you haven't gathered. Okay,
Several now.
so we got the Thanos circle, the Thanos family, whatever you want to call it. We'll do Thanos last. So let's start with Nebula, who has a few interesting lines chucked in, a couple interesting moments. I think she's going to play a prominent and important part in part 2.
Well,
If the
It's her
comics are
and Tony,
anything to
so-
go by, definitely.
Sorry?
If the comics are anything to go by, she
If the
definitely
comics
will be.
are anything to go by, she definitely will, because she is the one that gets the gauntlet in the comics, right? Yes?
Yes.
And then Adam
So-
Warlock gets it from her?
Oh, yeah.
spoilers.
Yeah, I don't want to go into it.
Okay. Well, they're not going to copy it, but
No, but
they never copy
like-
the exact storylines from the comics. They use kind of key things and
Yeah,
then
yeah,
just completely change them. Either way, she has a
Well,
key
that's like
role.
I forget what they're called, the Black
Black
Squad or
Hand.
whatever. They're not on the Black Hand, it's something else.
What?
that-
His group.
Yeah.
Aren't they called the Black Hand? That's
No,
what I've
no,
been calling
they're
them
called,
all week.
I'll have to
Yeah.
look it up. Yeah, they're called something else, but they only showed up in the comics in 2013 in the New Avengers, but the story that they're doing is from a 1991 story run,
Yeah,
so they're
it's-
mashing it all together.
It's all mashed up. You can't
Yeah.
read any of the comics and know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
But they
It gives you an idea of what
gives you
might
an
happen.
idea of what might happen. Yeah. So with that, I would say that Nebula is going to have a important role going into the the second movie like she does. Not only because she does in the comic, but also because she has a big character and emotional reason behind her to go after Thanos now. And being the only person left alive currently who has a close connection to Thanos might actually know where he is.
Yeah.
You know? He goes to hide somewhere, a place that
That's a good point. I hadn't thought of that.
A place that he's probably talked about a lot, because he mentions, what would you do when you retire or whatever goes on. But I'd love to just watch the sun come up and wherever the fuck. So in his mind, he's had a place, or he has a place he's gone to or goes to, or something that's important to him. And I feel like if anyone's going to know where that is going to be Nebula at this stage. And of course, she's the only person left on Titan who can help Iron Man get the fuck off there. Get the fuck off that place. So they're kind of big reasons why I feel like she'll be important going into the second one. In this movie, I don't feel like she does a lot. She screams a lot. She is in pain. That
was a cool shot, though.
That was a cool shot. Like, as far as CGI special effects kind of things go, that was a cool sequence to look at. So
I reckon they did it specifically so that when Gamora walks in, it looks fine, and then she sees her on the side.
I think so.
Like, it would be much easier to pull her apart all the different directions.
It's like some hot.
I think Thanos is sick.
What did you think of Nebula in this movie?
I was honestly surprised she showed up because I thought she died in Guardians too.
Did you?
Yeah.
No, her and Gamora got.
Oh, it's obvious she didn't. Like, I just don't remember.
I think you're getting the Telltale Guardians story messed up, maybe.
I didn't even finish the first episode of that.
Don't play it; it's terrible.
No, that's garbage.
But
like, yeah,
I need that.
I obviously didn't pay. I don't remember as much about Guardians because I didn't like it as much, I guess. But I thought she died when it was just her and the sister down in the tunnels or whatever.
Nope. She saves her. She saves her. Good old Gamora
and
comes in, saves her, and they hug,
right?
They have a sister moment. Yeah, they get over there fighting or whatever. They hug. Yeah, it's a moment. Ash, what do you think?
Yeah, she played a role. I don't know what else to say.
She did her part.
She did her part. All right. My favorite character in this movie is Gamora. I feel like she has the most. She's kind of the heart of the story for me because Thanos is the heart of the movie, and I'm glad they actually do a lot of him, which we'll talk about in a second. And if they didn't do what they did with him and actually add reason behind everything and make him kind of understandable and whatever else, then he would have just been a terrible villain. But you kind of get to a stage with him where you're like, I understand what you're saying. You're completely mental, but I understand what you're saying. And Gamora is the second closest person to him throughout this movie. She's there when he has the most emotional scene, and her death is the only one that got me, because I was like, okay, because it's also brings a lot of heart to his character. I feel Thanos's character. It's a really weird scene when you can tell he's getting upset and he's not actually faking it, because it brings a lot of real humanity to Thanos as a character, I feel like. Because at first I'm like, you fucking faking all this shit, but then you're like, he's not faking it. And it makes it really sad to see not her real father, but what is her father get upset. And add on top of the scene where she thinks she's killed him, and the way she breaks down in that scene. Like, she went in knowing that she just has to kill him, and she had enough power to push through, to drive that thing at him and kill him. But as soon as she thinks she's killed him, she just breaks down, because that's how much inside of her is conflict and cares about him still as the person who kind of raised her. It's like such a love-hate relationship that I find it so interesting, and I wish we'd got more of it, or more behind the scenes. I'd love to know more about that. I find it really, really interesting. What did everyone think about Gamora in this movie?
Yeah, I think she was good. I think the emotional scenes were emotional enough. Like I got sold on her death and the way she was feeling. But she's not my favorite character, no.
Yeah, I think she had the most story of anybody, so that probably explains why you think she's the best in the film. I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the scene between her, Peter, and Thanos, where she's trying to get Peter to kill her.
Yeah.
Yep.
Once again, just willing to die, so he can.
Which was like a recurring thing through this film, like people having to kill the people they love.
Yeah. That was a hard scene to watch on her side and on Peter's side. I feel
and then Thanos giving Peter the nod of approval.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like just kill my daughter. It's
Pull the
fine.
trigger.
Just fucking, just
I appreciate that.
Get off of it. I also think that, before I said Spider-Man second best performance, Tom Holland second best. I call people by their Marvel names. I don't even call the actors their proper names. Whatever movie Tom Holland's in next, it's not Marvel. Spider-Man was really good in the role of Jack Loobity. Like that's fine. Zoe Saldana. Saldana, thank you. I think she has the best performance, but in this movie, but I carry that on from that character resonating a lot to me, and that just means that the performance was really good. And I think the part where she broke down, that really got to me after she killed him, and then her final scene as she's being thrown off the cliff, and everything she says to him there, I think she had the best overall performance in this movie. Even though that Tom Holland line, that one line is fucking brilliant, but I'd still say it's the second best, because up until that stage he was just kind of normal Tom Holland, just throwing out quips left, right, and center.
Do we think she stays dead?
I think so.
she does, and I hope she does.
I think anybody who didn't turn to dust is dead.
Yeah, that's how it works. Yeah,
I don't think so.
All right. Well,
I think
if you have a theory,
sorry,
you want to save it to the end?
Okay, sure.
Okay, because we can talk about the dust and who lives, who doesn't die. There, we'll wrap it up at the end. In this section, I would like to cover, though, because it all kind of ties into her death thing, the Red Skull cameo.
Recast Red Skull.
Yeah.
The recast Red Skull. The only moment in this movie I was legit shocked, surprised, and was like...
You guys all were with a big crowd, right?
Yeah. Everyone in my crowd...
It was an audible gasp through the cinema.
Yes, mine too. And I think that was the only time where I legit was like... That was the only real surprise. Because everything else that kind of happened, even though I couldn't tell you the full script for this movie, was... Yeah, I could see that coming. It was kind of what I expected to happen for the most part. I didn't know Gamora was going to die, but she wasn't off the cards, kind of. You know what I mean? She wasn't off the cards. And the flick, I knew that was going to happen. Who was going to get turned to dust or whatever they was going to do. The snap, sorry. Well, the flick of the fingers. Fuck's sake, Ash. They
say snap like several times through the film.
I'm sorry, Marvel canon, they call it a snap, not a flick, everyone, in case you're not keeping up.
I've never heard this. That's not a flick. In no world is that ever a flick.
Tasmania.
That's not a world.
That's the only part of the movie that, Red Skull coming back was really cool. What did all you think of it? What was your initial reaction?
My initial reaction was to turn to Stacey, was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And she's like, I have no idea who this is.
Oh, really?
But other than that, like, I don't think he needed to be there at all.
Yeah.
Like,
it
could have been any old fucking character. It didn't have to be Red Skull. I didn't think it had any impact. Other than like, it's
obvious. It's obviously
a recognition factor.
I think it's a cameo for future films.
Yeah.
Like they want to.
Well, I guess technically his purpose on there is finished.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Red Skull in Marvel Comics is one of the biggest bads. You know, he heads up so many of the big whatever they call it. Yeah, and all that whatever. So they needed him back, and I don't feel like they retconned it in a way that doesn't make sense. If you think about how he left, or how the last time you see him in Captain America,
holding the space.
He was holding the space stone, and then he.
I couldn't remember what happened to him.
Yeah,
because nobody ever watched that movie more than once.
Yeah, because it's a terrible fucking movie.
It is a good movie.
No, it's 2/3 of a good movie that goes to absolute shit as soon as he puts on the Captain America suit. But that's a different argument. We're talking about Infinity War. They got rid of him. Hugo Weaving was terrible in that role. Absolutely shit. His performance was bad. I don't feel like he had fun with it at all. I don't even feel like Hugo Weaving...
No, he did have fun with it. He
wanted to be on the set.
I mean, afterwards and says he did want to do another one.
Okay, well, there you go.
Yeah.
I don't know how they did this one. I presume it's someone... It's a different actor, but then I couldn't tell if it was CGI'd. I was like, is it someone on set, or are they just CGIing the whole thing? And like, it's just one big animated face. Everything on there is animated. Or was it a guy on set with the mask on? I don't know. Either way, I liked the voice, and they have a good out to completely change the actor and bring him back as...
Well, I didn't even realise, so I looked it up afterwards. I didn't realise it was recast.
Oh, really?
Well,
did you think it was Hugo
impossible to
Weaving?
tell.
Hey?
I didn't think it sounded like him at all.
I don't think I was paying that close of attention.
Okay,
Yeah,
because that's
I'm not
why I
like
didn't. I think Hugo Weaving has a specific voice that if I hear it, I'm just like Mr. Anderson. You know, like it's.
Yeah.
I can pick it.
Yeah.
But as soon as the dude in the cloak started talking, well, up until that point, it could have been the fucking.
At that point, I thought it was going to be because the original story in
One of the Watchers.
no, the original story in the comics, the whole reason Thanos does the whole half universe thing is to, because he's in love with Death. But I thought it was going to be Death coming into it.
Don't Fox own the rights to Death?
I have no idea.
I'm not sure. I feel like
I
that
don't
How do
know.
you... Fox owns the rights to Death.
You can't die without Rupert Murdoch's
Well, they're using it to kill the X-Men franchise. But
That explains a lot, Fox News.
What do you got? Yeah, what do you think, Ash? Red Skull.
Yeah, it was cool. I mean, it was just a cool thing to make people surprised. I don't think it served much of a purpose. In hindsight, you go, "Oh, that's kind of cool that he's so close to another Infinity Stone, but he can't do anything about it." I mean, cool punishment or whatever, but could have been anybody. I was thinking, I couldn't figure out who it was.
Anyway.
Like, I thought the shadowy figure. I'm like, oh, is it the Phantom Stranger? No, that's DC. Is it the Spectre? No, that's DC.
Yeah, that's DC.
Yeah.
that's old DC.
Yeah.
So, Red Skull. I'm glad that they've brought him back in a way that.
Do you think he's going to be back in something?
Yeah. Not next year, not the year after, but I think this is like he's here. Don't forget,
He still
he's
exists.
alive. He still exists, and then I think they'll do something with him. down
with
the
the
line.
shield.
And I'm glad that they've brought him back because he is one of the great Marvel villains that they kind of just completely demolished and did a horrible job with, and then seemingly killed him. But I'm glad they didn't show him like getting shot or anything ridiculous, like the way they got rid of him. I still think they've retconned it so that he's back, but they're so lucky that the way he goes off screen or he dies in the original movie just works so well for him to come back. I don't think they've been planning this since the start.
No.
That's way too smart for them. No offense, guys, but you know, what can I say? All right, let's talk about the big bad then. Thanos, who, if you watched any of our reacts over time, I thought he looked like a big plastic Play-Doh man. I thought the CGI on him looked crap in every trailer. I'm happy to say that they worked hard on it, and by the time the movie came out, I think he looks really good. And I think the performance is really, really good also. And as a villain, top 3. He's currently number 3. I'll rank the villains. I've got Thanos, I've got Vulture, and I've got Killmonger. And that's not saying much because I think they're the only villains that are any good in the MCU. I think there's only 3 good ones, and that's my order.
Thanos, Vulture, and Claw.
Claw?
Yeah, I loved Claw. I think it was fantastic.
Fair enough.
Okay.
So
I chuck Loki up there as well.
I'll allow it.
I think at this point he's not much of a villain.
Yeah,
he's
I
more
know.
of like a anti-hero, I guess.
Yeah, because he's weird. Like he's a weird
Yeah.
one, I guess. But Thanos, they did. This is his movie, and
Yeah.
I actually kind of wish in an alternate universe you don't see the hero stuff. It is just played from his side throughout the whole movie, and
You
the
can
only
probably
times-
cut it together that way.
Yeah, but I mean,
you
like
want him to
more
see the
scenes with
stone.
him and whatever else. So it's just like the entire movie is from Thanos' side of view, his point of view, and follows him through. And he's the main character of the story. And the only time we bump into the characters, the Avengers and so on, Guardians that we see in this movie, are only the points where he bumps into them. We never cut around and all this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Because he's completely nutcase. His idea that, killing off 50% of the galaxy's population is bonkers. That is not the right.
I mean, it's not unoriginal.
It's not
I mean,
unoriginal. No. It's definitely not.
It's not original.
It's not original. You're correct. Yeah,
Like
you're correct.
Kingsman did that story,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, not for the whole galaxy, but
obviously for the universe.
He's completely nuts. But it is an idea that you can kind of get behind, especially when we live in a day and age where these kind of things are relevant issues. Are we going to run out of food? Is there too many people? Is there overflow? World population is getting too big. So with all that food running short, seas are rising. We need to get rid of people. There's a bunch of TV series that have done it really great, this kind of storyline. So you can kind of get
If
behind
only it was
and
around on
understand.
Krypton.
Yeah, well, could have helped Krypton. Well, didn't manage to help out his own planet. So I think between the performance from Josh Brolin and them actually willing to kind of humanize this character, and I think they do that throughout several scenes, but especially that Gamora scenes where he kind of went over the line to be someone I can not hate. He's the villain, but I don't hate him. If that
well, there were points of the movie where I empathized with him. Like, how many Marvel movies have done that
with the villain? Vulture and Killmonger.
Exactly.
So, and I honestly, I feel like a good villain, you kind of need to empathize with them to some degree.
Yep.
You need to at least be able to understand what their plan is, even if you don't agree with it. But you need to be able to understand it to some degree to be able to like them. That's why the villains that are just destroy the world. Why? Because. Like, you're not going to like them. You're not going to get on their level. There's nothing to get behind or understand. There's nothing that makes them interesting other than just you're a bad guy. You're a typical bad guy. And I feel like a lot of people coming into this movie who don't know anything about comics are going to look at all these trailers for this movie and think Thanos is that type of villain, but he's not. So what did everyone think about Thanos? Ash?
Loved him.
Yeah, he's the best.
Best.
It's movie. I mean, he's probably. I think that his performance is the best performance of the film.
Yeah,
I think it is top 3 comic book movie villains. Probably up there with
that. Like, I feel they did him justice. Like, he is one of the biggest bads in Marvel, and I feel like they did him justice, and everything about his character felt up and like everything culminating up until this point. Nothing about this movie, I think, felt disingenuous or unearned or anything like that. I feel it was all completely valid.
That's great. I would have liked if maybe Volume 2 had gave me another 15-minute scene with him, kind of like we got in Volume 1 or something, because it's going to be over very fast, if that makes sense. You know, because we've had him teased for 10 years. You don't really, he gets one line here, after credits here, 10, 15 minutes or whatever it was in Guardians, and then he's going to show up in this movie and he's going to be gone in 2, we presume. I just feel like it's going to be all over very fast, and now that I know I like him, because I didn't know I liked him until this movie, I kind of wish that we'd got more time to just any time with him, get to know him more, get a few more things in. And I don't even mean a full movie, I do mean just, a couple extra scenes here or there or something along those lines. But it is a testament to Ash saying that he's one of the best villains, that my ideal version of this movie is from him. Just follow him. He's the main character. He is the main character, and you just follow along with him. And I think that is a testament to not only the performance, but also the character and the way he's written. So, yeah.
I think that's the problem with Marvel movies in general. Like, you get a good villain, or any villain really, and they just kill them off straight away.
Yeah, I suppose that's the problem with writing these things, is the
writing, and the fact is that it's not the comics, it's a movie industry too, where they've got to think about future contracts, future things, and are they going to be too old by the time we need to come around again and all that kind of
stuff.
If
we want to use this character in 5 years from now, like, what are we going to do? It's a lot different in the comics when it's just...
Yeah, they can just write him in again.
Just write it and draw it. Like, can someone draw X character? I'm sure someone can in 10 years. Yeah. It's fine, as long as someone can draw him. Jaden in the chat's trolling with, I hope he just sits on his farm for the first 30 minutes of the next movie. I really hope that is not a thing. Although, the farm thing is interesting, I find. Yeah. So, if we're going to take a guess, where is it? And do you really think that's his whole plan? Or do you think, much like, without spoiling the comics a bit too much, do you think he gets back attracted to that power? Or is he going to be happy to just chill out on his little house watching the sun for the rest of the days after he's accomplished his mission?
I would like to think that he does.
Just chill out? That's it?
He just chills out, yeah.
Yeah, me too. What do
but
he's
think? Always wearing, I think he's always got, he knows.
Well, you wouldn't take it off, would you?
No.
That'd be silly.
He probably does like cool stuff, like make his food cook faster and stuff.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if you pay that close attention. And after he does the snap, it looks like the gauntlet gets destroyed or damaged in some way.
Yeah, it looks like it.
Yeah, I feel like
And
it's
even like his whole arm gets burnt, and it's all like burnt and scarred and stuff.
I kind of took it as it just destroyed the gauntlet, but the stones didn't get destroyed. The stones were
No,
still
but
fine.
the stones aren't the stones. The way they work, they can't be used together without the gauntlet.
Yeah, but they make sure in this film to make you very aware that there's more than one gauntlet. Like yeah, in the Forge, they show like they go over the whole. He made the gauntlet, so he can make another one. Is kind of what I took away from that, and the fact that we see one.
I just thought that was like a design prototype type thing.
No, it could have been a design prototype, but it leads to that guy knowing how to make more. So I think that comes into play in the second film, that they make another one. Maybe the Avengers do at some point.
He could just use the reality stone by itself to fix the gauntlet.
That's so Ash is blowing minds over here.
Yeah.
Blowing minds. But yeah, so I'm with Ash. I hope that he's just chilling out and he's fun. I don't want them to go down the whole he gets power hungry, because that's not the side of interest I've grown for this character, or the way I've got to know this character. The way I've grown to know Thanos in this movie is that he will sit and chill on that farm, not get hungry for more power and go back out and start more wars and whatever else just for the sake of it. Especially when we do.
I honestly think he chills out and the war comes to him.
Yes, yep. I agree. The war they will bring the war to him. Avengers Thanos' farm. That's the title. We haven't been told it yet, but that's what the next movie is called.
That would be an awesome title.
Thanos' farm.
Yeah, we'll spend a whole season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. on the farm. Like the
yeah, fucking hell. They do a throwaway line too about how he gave up on his quest at one stage or something, like when he's talking to Gamora.
Yeah, Gamora.
Yeah,
he gave up on my destiny once.
Gave up on my destiny once. So it's not like he's... I feel like that just kind of shows he's happy just to chill out or whatever. He doesn't... He's not the type of person who's just going around destroying shit for the sake of it. It's very much mission minded, and he's accomplished his mission finally. So I do feel like he's just going to chill out on his little housestead there until all of or some of the Avengers or whatever, whoever shows up on his front door, Captain Marvel, whoever's going to show up on his front door there. But Thanos overall, definitely one of the best comic book villains that we've had, one of the greater action movie villains that we've had in some time, and definitely one of the best Marvel villains easily. That's not even a question, because they're just crap usually, to be honest. No offense, everyone. All right, moving on to the last team I want to talk about, which is Vision and Scarlet Witch. What did everyone think of their romance? Because I found it weird, and I felt like it was rushed in Civil War. Civil War. I found it weird, and I felt like it was rushed in that movie, and I still didn't buy it into this movie.
I bought it.
Did you buy it in Civil War? You were on board from Civil War,
But I think it's a canon comics thing, so it wasn't surprising they went in that direction. But
maybe it's the actor chemistry that just doesn't.
Yeah, the age difference.
Maybe it's just
the way Scarlet Witch, in my mind, was the best performance in this film for me, and I think the way she portrayed everything sold it, especially when she ended up having to destroy or whatever stone it is.
Mind Stone.
Yeah.
It's on his mind. Could
be soul.
Nope.
Gives him soul.
He has no soul. AIs have no soul. Check out Bevan World every month. I thought it's interesting the whole back and forth. I didn't really understand because I forgot whose team was in who, to be honest, because I didn't rewatch all the movies coming into this. I didn't bother rewatching Civil War or anything like that. So I was understanding everything, and I was on board from the start. The start of this movie didn't confuse me, although I've heard a lot of people have been confused, and we'll talk about that in a second. But the only part that confused me was when I was like, oh, we're meeting up back and forth. I'm like, whose team are you on again? And whose side were you? Like, who was left with who? Who was on Iron Man's side?
Did Vision even participate in the Civil War?
Yeah, he shot down War Machine.
War Machine, yeah.
He's the reason that shit happens. Well, he's not the reason it happens, but he's the reason. He's the shot that makes him hit the ground. As he shoots off to someone. So so that means he's on.
He was on Tony's side.
Yeah. Okay.
No. War Machine, isn't he?
No, War Machine was on
an accident.
It was an accident. But War Machine was on the other side anyway, and then he switched back, didn't he? It's all fucking very.
No, War Machine was on Tony's side.
Was he?
The whole time? Yes.
Jeez.
If Iron Men stick together.
Yeah.
Yes. I guess. I don't know. But they try and make these two characters a big part of the movie, I guess. And you're saying Nick's a fan of it. You think that what's her name? Olsen gave the Elizabeth Olsen gave the best acting in the movie. Paul Bettany, fine, I guess.
He sold himself as an AI.
As an AI. Yeah, that's a good point. But yeah, anyone got anything else on these two?
No, it was good.
Yeah,
I enjoyed it.
Fine.
Service
we don't trade lives.
I believe
gave the opportunity for that line to come up. So
yeah,
it's good. There. All right, let's talk about the group that we are calling the wrong name apparently, which I'll refer to as the Black Hand until I'm told otherwise, because that's legit what I thought they were called. But Thanos' generals, his sidekicks,
the Black Order.
Black Order. Thank you. There we go. Close enough.
To edit this review.
Yeah, maybe. If I can be bothered today. Whatever. But the Black Order, which 4 members that we get to see, right?
Yeah, 4.
The big fuck off dude, and then you got the 3 other small ones. Yeah. What did we think of them? And
the big guy and like the goblin looking guy are supposedly brothers.
Oh really?
Bullshit.
They are in the comics anyway.
They don't go into
They don't go into that.
They don't go into anything.
They don't go into anything, and I give it a pass, because where the fuck do you do that in this movie? And
they serve the point as evil henchmen.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I like it that they're the evil henchmen, because one of my problems with the last 2 Avengers movies is when it comes down to fights, it's them fighting just, a bunch of mindless goons that they're just throwing around easy, chucking around. And although they do that in the Wakanda fight, it's only this one time. Up until that stage, they're taking on these very video gamey type boss battles, I guess. Scenarios, like especially the first one where they're chasing around more around the city, and he's like on this cyclone, like hovering or whatever, and Spider-Man's fleeing after him. And so I enjoyed that a lot more. It adds a lot more character for them to actually interact back and forth with, because instead of just dealing straight with Thanos, and help build Thanos up to be a badass, especially when you've got more just running backwards and forwards on that ship, giving the big speech, and you now witness be privileged to be killed part of Thanos' group or whatever. So what do we all think of the Black Order? Any favorites, Ethan? Which was your favorite?
Moore was the cool.
I think Ebony Moore was the standout.
Yeah,
I agree. Yeah,
honestly, I believed the part where they thought that they killed the Goblin one, and the Sheila with the horns go, you're going to pay for that, or something like that. You're going to pay for his death.
Out. He was stuck inside.
Yeah.
I don't know how. How'd he get inside?
I don't know. That's the other thing. It's like, how did he get inside?
Down this force field in this one section.
There was only one section he somehow snuck through. Yeah, that was a bit odd. And he's like waiting there, even though I'm like, surely he could just like snuck up, thrown Scarlet Witch out the window, and grabbed the stone quickly anyway. Didn't really need to wait for her to leave.
No,
if that was
2-on-1. I'm pretty sure he would have died 2-on-1.
If their big plan is to wait for her to leave, they're relying on her leaving, which they weren't sure if she even would, I guess. But it's fine. It's whatever. I will say that I don't think their CGI was as good as Thanos's though.
No.
Particularly,
Not even close.
Particularly the girl one, whatever her fucking name is, I don't know.
Proxima Midnight.
Is it, what is it?
Proxima Midnight.
Proxima Midnight. She reminded me, her CGI was so bad that it was reminding me of what's his face from Justice League.
Steppenwolf. I thought the big guy looked like Steppenwolf.
Really? But it's not even like what they look like. It's just the effects wise, it looked too much like a cartoon on the screen. Thanos felt like a character. Like,
Yeah.
be it the performance capture, the special effects, everything. There wasn't a moment where he felt like something overlaid on the screen. He really just felt like someone in the scene with everyone, which is the way you need these things to work. And when I'm looking at her marching in that scene and going, all your goons look better than you. All your goons are kind of fitting into this scene. Or those monsters, whatever they're called. I can't remember whatever they're called. They all kind of seem more realistic than you. Your face is just off-putting to look at.
Yeah.
So, and with the amount of trouble I had with them with Thanos, like I felt like he got better each trailer. I don't know if anyone else had problems with him like I did, but I felt like his CGI got better or changed each trailer they would put out. So I'm wondering if they were really struggling with him or spent so much time on him to get him right that they kind of didn't get time to spend as much on some other things like these guys as they might have wanted to.
Yeah, that's a fair assumption.
Yeah.
There are a couple of other CGI things. Obviously, Bruce Banner in the Hulkbuster suit.
Yeah.
That looked pretty bad.
That was
whenever he took the mask off. Yeah.
It's like sitting in a basketball chairs or whatever on set, and they've just like copy pasted this cardboard cutout around him. Yeah, it
wasn't good.
Great.
Yeah,
didn't look great.
Yeah, but at least they picked the right thing to put the full focus in. So
I agree.
small trade-offs.
Yeah,
I can live with it.
Look, it didn't take me out of the it wasn't great, but it didn't take me out of the experience whenever it was on screen either.
Maybe aliens look CGI.
Yeah,
Could be a thing.
I hold these movies to a higher standard of CGI than other lower budget movies, and I feel like they need to get them right. It doesn't ruin the movie, but it is worth pointing out that if I notice it, if for 1 second while I'm sitting in the cinema my brain goes, that looks a bit odd, it doesn't take me out of the movie fully, but it has taken me out for a second, and that isn't a small, at least notable issue for me. But it is fine.
Yeah.
All right.
I enjoyed the Axe guy's death though.
Dax, which one?
yeah.
The guy who dies on the force field.
Oh yeah, I was hoping it was going to be a lot more gory, but they didn't show it because he skidded off in the distance.
Yeah,
I
it
was
blew
like,
up.
just have him go everywhere. That would be great. Love it so much.
After he got his hand chopped off from a portal.
Let's talk about rest in pieces, as in who
Drax when he gets
who
put
died,
in the tubes.
who got killed, who do we think is actually going to stay dead, and do you think that some of or all of the people that got dusted are going to be dead? So Gamora, we're all kind of in agreement that no, your guesses. So me and Ash are just in agreement, yeah.
I guess so, yeah.
Yeah, so I think she's dead for good, and I hope she's dead for good, because if they bring her back, that's going to ruin that scene drastically for me, and I think she's important and needs to stay dead to have that big impact not only on a lot of other people's characters like Peter's character and Nebula, but also Thanos. Her death is really, really important for Thanos' character. So I think if you bring her back, it's just ruining a lot of the emotional impact of her role in this movie. Why do you think
I
they're going to
honestly
bring her back?
believe that she's trapped in because the Soul Stone has its own pocket reality, and after he throws her in and he goes off the edge and wakes up in that like lake area, and the child Gamora's there.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that's him in the stone with her, because then he wakes up holding it.
Sure. So I can buy the theory. I hope it's not true though.
And do they really want to kill her off for the next Guardians of the Galaxy movie too?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Sure. Why not?
Why not? Kill someone.
There's a whole pantheon of possible Guardians.
Jaden said in the chat, if she can come back, then Thanos would bring her back. Which is a point.
I don't think Thanos has the ability to.
He seems like an encyclopedic knowledge of all these stones and what they can do most of the time throughout this movie.
I mean, if you can kill everybody, I'm sure you can bring people back. The Reality Stone should be able to do that, I would imagine.
Yeah. I suppose. Maybe there's rules. I don't know. Ask whoever made them.
So why didn't he bring back Titan back and everything else back then?
Yeah, just rewind
I
certain
don't
sections.
think he can bring things back like that.
Not all in one go.
Rewind certain sections at a time, which kind of makes sense. But
He only had time to snap his fingers once. Jeez.
it's all it takes.
I
I
don't think Gamora's going to come back, but I think she'll be in the next movie. Like I think that little Gamora was like the manifestation of death for him, possibly.
I like that. I haven't heard that, and
Yeah.
I like that a lot.
Yeah.
That's a good
So
one.
maybe she shows up in the next movie.
I like that. I'll buy
Yeah.
that for $1.
You'll have to pay more.
Okay.
One
Buy that
coin.
for $12.50.
One Bevan coin.
Oh, Bevan coin. Thank you. We need that to be like an emote. I could just throw out in a Twitch chat, like Bevan coin. We should make that. Apostrophe Bevan. All right. They next death, or the first death, really. Loki. How do we all feel about Loki dying? Is he going to stay dead?
Didn't Heimdall die before him?
Yeah, he did.
Oh, whatever. We're discussing Loki now.
Heimdall's dead.
Heimdall's dead. He's dead forever. Idris Elba
Yeah.
doesn't want to be in this anymore. That made sense. Loki.
Yeah, I think he's dead.
Forever?
He's a god. What I thought coming out of the film was it'd be really cool if he got reincarnated, either as female Loki or as kid Loki.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, that's always something. Yeah. I mean, we're talking about the comic books, so they
I
can.
think they're going to do more Thor movies. And do you guys think they killed everybody on that ship, or
I'm
because he had
I'm
that throwaway
presuming-
line, like killed half of my people.
Yeah, that's exactly. I'm pretty sure he Thor
So
says
then
the
how do
line
they
killed.
survive the ship because it gets destroyed?
They get bifrosted away.
He only bifrosted Hulk away.
They bifrosted the first lot, and you didn't
Unless
have enough time
Thanos
to
literally
bifrost
takes
everybody.
them to a planet. Like,
Yeah. Well,
like
he didn't have
moves
the
them off.
space.
Yeah, unless
Jam
he's literally
packed
taken half of the people off that ship and gone, use the ones that are going to live, and taken them to a different planet. Because yeah, from Thanos' rule plus what Thor says, 50%. I'm presuming that he killed half the people that run a ship, because half the people on ship was the remaining Asgardians. So
Yeah.
makes sense.
So back to Loki. I hope that he's dead, but I wouldn't be surprised if Marvel does a 180 and he's not dead.
Yeah.
I really hope that he's dead because I'm sick of seeing Loki and fucking
I agree.
everything.
I
I'm
enjoyed
really
Tom
sick.
Hiddleston.
I enjoy Tom Hiddleston too, but I'd like to watch Tom Hiddleston
He's
in
had his
other
day in the
movies.
sun.
I got sick and tired of Loki quite a time ago, and I felt like they had no idea what they was doing with this character. And the only
Oh, he's
reason
going to
they
betray Thor, but in
Yeah.
reality, he's actually helping him.
I felt like they had no idea what they was doing with him, and they were keeping around as a fan favorite, but really just not knowing what the fuck they were doing with him at all. And his storyline wore out ages ago, and I was really happy to see him die. That was a joyous death for me. I'm like, oh, thank God. Like, he's done. Good. Get that out of the way, especially because of how fast it happens, of course. Just the 10 minutes into the movie or whatever. Someone, like, Helmdall dead, Loki dead. I was like, cool, we're off to a great start to this movie.
Yeah.
And you've killed
Anybody
off
can
Loki.
die.
If anything,
Almost
I
everybody.
found his death against his character.
Against his character? Like, how
Yeah.
so?
Well, the fact that he was just like very blatantly, oh, I'm going to serve you, and then try and stab him in the throat, where Loki's a long game kind of guy. He's not impulsive like that.
Yeah, that's a good point. That is a good point. I agree on that part. Maybe unless he just knew that he was fucked either way. I don't really know. Or we're believing he had a big change of heart at some point after
Or it's all a
Ragnarok.
trick and he's not actually dead.
Oh, please don't. Please don't.
Loki has that
Illusion to
ability.
do.
Yeah.
Also, it's his fault, really, that this all happened.
Yeah, because he's
If he had just left the Tesseract on Asgard, it would have gotten blown
Asgard.
up and nothing would have happened.
That's a good point. Would the planet blowing up destroyed the Tesseract, or would it have just been floating in space?
I don't
think-
know.
Well,
I think-
technically, Asgard's in a different realm. It's not in space.
Fucking hell. Fucking nerd alert over here.
Yeah.
Would the Tesseract
Maybe
just be
that's the
floating
reason
in
Thanos
another
has been
realm
waiting all this time, because he had needed to wait till it was
for it
back in.
to get off Asgard, back into
Yeah.
this realm? Fair
Yeah.
enough. All right, I can believe it. Along.
Anyway, it's like his fault.
Another couple deaths that these are ones I'm assuming based on what we know, but we don't actually see. So I'm presuming the Collector's dead. Are we buying this?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he was dead, and all that was just like a.
Oh no, they
show.
show that was a show. Like they show it goes over him. They show it's fake, but we don't actually see his body or Thanos kill him. But
I
I'm presuming
assume he's
since nowhere was just ashes that he's
Yeah.
dead. Is anyone going to miss in that case Benicio del Toro in this series?
I didn't like
No,
him.
No, yeah, I agree.
he was fun for this movie. Seeing him again.
He did his part. I like the throwaway line in that, even though it was imaginary stuff.
Magnificent.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I did like the throwaway line, even though it was all in that made up Thanos reality shit that about oh, your brother, blah, blah, blah. They have like a throwaway line about his brother, which is Jeff Goldblum's character, whatever his name is. I can't remember.
Now, do we presume that Howard the Duck is also dead?
No, he and Cosmo got off ages ago. Escaped ages
let's
ago.
assume so. Because I want a Howard the Duck TV series where it's just him
Howard
solving
the Duck
cases.
should
I want him solving cases weekly in a detective show on TV. That's my dream for that character. Make it happen. And then the other assumption I'm making, I guess, is the Nova Corps.
Yeah, everybody's dead.
Everybody's dead.
I hope that everyone's dead just for the sole fact that we get a Nova
Corps.
I think that's probably what's going to happen.
A Nova movie, yeah. I feel like that's what's going to happen. I feel like that's one of the oddest things in this movie that they completely skipped that, honestly. One of the biggest, because it's kind of something that didn't hit me until, I don't know, half an hour into the movie or something along those lines. Because I was, you're paying attention to what's happening in the scene and you're not really thinking about too deeply about what's being said. But then, so finally clicked. Oh, he has this. I mean, no, that means he's probably killed them all. But there were characters I liked there. Glenn Close's character was there. That was cool. That was a cool moment.
They couldn't get Glenn Close and
John, what's his face? Whatever his McDye,
no,
whatever his Talladega Nights, whatever. Will Ferrell's buddy. Yeah, they couldn't get him back apparently. I think as we jump in, because I feel like this is a good point. Unless you want to talk about the dusting, but we can talk about that in end theory.
Sylvester Stallone did.
No, he wasn't on that. He was on that planet.
This is a good point to kind of talk about the opening of this movie, though. So let's chuck it over, because I honestly feel like I would have much preferred the opening of this movie for the sake of seeing him destroying the Nova Corps and that, and also making the opening a lot better for people who didn't watch an end credit scene. Is you open this movie with, I don't know, opening credits plus him just fucking shit up and destroying the Nova Corps and taking that zone. That's like the first minute, 2 minutes. Because the ending as it is at the moment, I'm fine with it. I think it's cool. I really like the way it opens. I like the way that it's just like, here it is. They've fucked shit up already. Thor's lost. Hulk's lost. Everyone's dead. It is a really cool opening. But as I was watching it, I was thinking, a lot of people are going to have trouble with this, or a lot of people are going to struggle with how quickly this is into it, and a lot of people who never watched or forgot about that after credit sequence from Ragnarok are going to have trouble with this scene. So, how do we?
I think they don't care. I think they own this movie was for people who paid attention and watched all 18 films that preceded this.
John C. Reilly, thank you, Jaden. It's. I agree. What do you think about my idea for changing the opening, though?
No, I love the opening.
Love the opening? Leave it as
set
is?
up Thanos.
Yeah, I think in the grand scheme of things, Nova Corps isn't a major player, and I don't think they needed to be shown.
And it would have been way...
Even them being destroyed. I think it would have just confused people more than it already has.
Yeah. You think so?
I believe it would.
Fair enough. I mean, I like the ending as it is.
Apparently, Disney has ordered more Marvel one-shots, so... it could happen.
It'd be cool to see. Yeah, my thinking is only for the people who have already seen online struggling with the opening. And then I'm also thinking about when this movie comes out on Blu-ray and my mum tries to watch it, and she's just going to be like, I've watched all these fucking movies, but I don't know what the fuck's going on at this stage. Like, what the hell? I can
imagine... to show Thor first.
She's watched Thor first. But she'll just forget, and I bet you a lot of people forget.
Tell her to watch all the movies beforehand.
Yeah, that's not gonna happen. That's gonna I mean, I get it. This movie is this is the most nerdy Marvel comic book movie.
The fans.
This is for the fans. This is the big birthday bash. 10 years of you watch all those after credit scenes. You better have, because that's where a fucking movie starts. Like, you remember all this shit. You need to remember.
One thing I was genuinely shocked about was that it was only 10 years. I thought it'd been going for longer in my mind.
10 years is a long time, though.
Yeah.
I don't know how old you are, but that's a long time. It's like nearly half my life. It's a very long time.
It's like 2 years longer than Ashley's been alive.
Oh, that's true. That's true. He's a very young boy, that one. Very young boy. Any other thoughts on the opening of this movie?
No?
No, I loved it, yeah.
It was
Yeah,
good.
love
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to the ending then. Let's talk about the ending. Let's talk about the ending scene, and then after that, I want to grab everyone's wrapping up theories on who lives, who dies from that, how they bring them back, what you think's gonna happen. But first, what did you think of the final 5 minutes or however long it is? You've seen it twice. Is it like 5 minutes?
Yeah, it's not very long.
It's not very long, but
From
it's
when-
not short. It's like it's a couple minutes
No,
at least,
yeah.
I guess.
I think I was like halfway through the movie. I'm like, they're not going to wrap this up. They're going to have to like wrap this up real quick somehow.
Yeah.
I didn't expect them to do this.
You didn't think they would do this?
No, I didn't think they'd do it.
I didn't think they would do it in this movie. I didn't think he'd get all the stones in this movie.
Oh, really? No, I thought this was going to happen. I mean, I didn't think they would all turn to dust or whatever, but I'm like, he has to get all the stones in this one, and then part 2 is obviously... To some degree, Thanos wins on the first movie, and then part 2 is them.
This is the Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah.
I don't like that saying.
That's what I
Empire
said.
Strikes Back is a
This
lot
must
better
be
than-
what people felt like when they got out of Empire Strikes Back.
I can understand the feeling, and everyone's tracking around the Empire Strikes Back when they're discussing this movie.
How many other movies are there where the villain wins?
No, it's
Exactly.
it's a feeling to me. I understand that everyone's comparing it as a feeling of how the villain wins at the end of it.
Yeah.
On a film level, to me, The Empire Strikes Back is a much way better made movie than this. But whatever. Before I complain about the ending, let's just hear. You got any thoughts on the ending, Nick?
I think it was great. I'm glad that they actually went there and did something this, I don't know, major, shocking to people that maybe didn't see it coming, that hadn't read the comics or stuff like that.
Yeah.
How
Like
was
the general consensus of everyone walking out was like speeches. Was like, shit, did that just happen? And especially the ending credits where he goes Avengers Infinity War and it just fades to dust. And it's kind of like all the credits are like kind of like an obituary
It's just
until it
black
gets to
and
the
white,
story
yeah.
part.
There's no
Whereas all
music
the other ones are
playing
doing cool weapons and
Yeah.
cool graphics.
Yeah.
It's
I
just
agree.
really
The
basic.
credits and the no music and no like like real happy
Yeah,
like
just low.
music and low key music. It
Solemn,
was
yeah.
really put together well, and I liked how they didn't do the very graphic end
And
titles.
it sold also the hopelessness of like everyone left. Like, fuck, what just happened? What do we
Yeah.
do?
They
Like,
don't end it with someone being like, "I've got a plan, guys." Or,
yeah.
No.
da-da-da-da-da.
Or-
So,
Kinda.
something like that. Because yeah, kind of. Well, I'll talk. Yeah, I was going to bring that up in a sec. But how did everyone's cinemas react to it?
Just
Like, it went
stunned
quiet.
silence. Yeah.
Because I literally had someone behind me go, shit, no. Oh. Like, there was just, and it was just, and then bunches around me, like, you could hear people, like, kind of gasping, and then
Yeah.
going silent, just watching on screen. And then when the credits start rolling, I just had a couple people around me, all in unison, just like, it probably wasn't half my cinema, but it was loud enough to seem like half my cinema, just go, "What the fuck?" as the credits started rolling. And then after that, it was just silence. So it was what the fuck, and then everyone processing, no one moving, no one wanting to do anything. Everyone kind of in this shock value. My problem.
Everyone realized it was 3,500.
I appreciate that they psyched it out twice. Like,
What do you mean?
you thought they thought you'd gotten over it when you destroyed the stone, and then Thanos
Oh yeah.
fixes it
Oh
at the
yeah,
time.
and he just goes, "Whoop."
Yep, yeah. And then he gets the massive axe to his chest. You think, oh, they've saved the
Yeah.
day again. And then he just,
Yeah, should have gone for the head.
it was great.
My problem with the ending is I feel it has absolutely no emotional power or weight because you know they're going to come back.
But there's nothing
But-
they could have done to the general moviegoer, yeah. But to like anyone that understands the movie business or read the comics or anything, they know they're not going to kill off those kind of characters, especially when there's movies slated afterwards with those characters.
There isn't.
There's
To be
Black
fair,
Panther 2,
there's
isn't
not.
there?
Nope.
Oh,
They
really?
haven't
haven't
officially
officially
announced Black Panther 2.
Okay.
No.
There's nothing on the
Guardian-
slate except after Avengers 2. Oh, 4.
There's nothing
There's Captain
officially locked
Marvel.
in, but they're basically like, we're
Well,
doing
Captain
Black
Marvel's
Panther
in between,
2,
isn't it?
we're doing Guardians Volume 3, there's another Spider-Man movie coming, but they've
Yeah.
mentioned all
They
these
haven't
things, but
announced
they're not
anything.
officially announced. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
the...
but the smart like.
But you know they're coming.
You know, yeah.
That's
Like,
fucking resume.
for what it was, I think it worked great.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing you can do that's gonna have
I would
a
rather
deep
they
impact.
kill one character and keep them dead, or two characters and keep them dead, and actually have that
Loki
be a
in the Heimdall.
big emotional scene, then kill how many characters? Like 8 characters, I think, whatever that we see turn to dust or whatever. But
I know a lot.
yeah, to me, as someone who hates shitty cliffhangers on television series, you know, someone's trapped, or you think one of the main characters are dead in a TV series. You CW shows or something like that do really terrible cliffhangers where you think they even did ones like Barry Allen's dead in The Flash. He's not. Just in the first episode or second episode, he's going to be back. Whatever. They're crappy cliffhangers to me, and this to me is a crappy cliffhanger because it doesn't mean anything to me. I know that they're all going to come back, so I don't care.
But I think that's just you being in that position, knowing that they're going to come back.
I think for anyone anyone who thinks for half a second will know that they're going to come back.
Okay, what else could they have done? Because you knew all along that was Thanos' plan to kill half the universe. You knew once you get it, half of them at least are going to die.
But that literally doesn't
What's
mean
the
half.
opposite?
It doesn't mean half the Avengers need to go. That's 50. That's 50% of Earth. Make 2 of them turn to dust, and actually have them stay dead. Not kill off. Not have people turn to dust. I know are literally going to get movies in the next couple of years. Spider-Man, Black Panther.
So they just keep on going with 50% of the whole universe dead.
Yes.
Of course, the whole quest of the next movie is them trying to reverse it.
I know. It's a cool moment, and I enjoyed being in the cinema to witness it, and I am glad that there are a bunch of people out there who, you know, let's just call them laymen. I don't know what you want to call them without being offensive, but you know what I'm saying. Like people who aren't going to think about it, or who are actually going to believe this and buy it, and are going to who got really upset at the ending and are going to spend the next year worried or whatever they're going to do. I'm happy that they're upset, I guess. I'm happy that the ending was this really big emotional moment for them. But it was 10 seconds of, oh shit for me, and then, yeah, but there's a movie coming. And my brain just started like thinking all that. And I know that there's going to be so many other people out there like me who are going to be taken out of the moment like that. And I've seen a bunch of people already online in forums and such saying the same thing that took him out, just going, yeah, but the movie, he's going to have a movie, Spider-Man's going to have a movie.
Did you feel that during the movie, or were you caught up?
No, I was gone. I was 10 seconds. As soon as Bucky went, I was like, okay, that's interesting. Who was the next person? Because that's when I was out of it. That's when I was drawn out of the moment. Do you remember who was after Bucky?
Like Falcon? No. It was Black Panther.
Yeah, Black Panther. There you go. That's why. Because when Bucky went, I was like, oh shit. I believed that for a second, because I was like, okay, they hadn't been doing much with him with this movie. Maybe they're not passing on the mantle to him. Next person, Black Panther. He's made billions and trillions, well, not billions and trillions, but he's made lots of money, and my brain was just straight away thought about that, and I was taken out of the movie straight away. I'm glad that there are many people that can look past this. I didn't force this upon myself.
Does this also go down to the argument of, is the story meant to service you, or is it meant to move the story along? And does it work on the fact that the characters feel it and the characters have that emotion and they're the hopelessness and don't know what to do?
It works to that degree, to a point, I guess. Yeah, but it's the biggest problem they have. And we was talking about this stuff before, you know, like what the differences between the comics and the movies are. You know, in the comics they don't have to worry about this actor coming back or all that sort of thing. And the biggest problems with this being a movie is, again, they have to announce these deals, and anyone who follows the movie business to any degree is just going to start thinking, well, that person's getting a movie, that person's getting a movie, that person's getting a movie, and they don't even need to have announced any of them because you know they're going to come. And
I think it just,
I don't know. They could do a Black Panther movie with Shuri as the Black Panther. I'd watch it.
Technically, she does take over the mantle in the comics.
She is technically the Black Panther right now, because T'Challa's dead.
And
then they can bring in Miles Morales as Spider-Man.
How do you tell the Infinity story without something like this happening?
I don't know. I'm not trying to write the movie, but I think you can do it. NATO in the chat just said, that's why I said this is an Icarus movie. To me, the more comic book movie become the more I see the cracks in it. And I agree, this is the most comic booky movie, and they tried to make it the most comic booky movie on purpose. But here's the thing, you can't do it for many different reasons, and I think this is one of them. You can't do these fake off deaths. You can't do kill characters and then bring them back like you can in the comics, because you can bring them back 6 months later in the comics and it doesn't affect me as much because you kind of know it's going to happen. It's whatever.
You're not coming back for another year.
Double that time length.
Yeah.
I think in the movies you just need to kill characters and commit to it, or don't kill them at all.
Well, Jaden just brought up a good point. What's to say they don't all come back? We're all assuming that they all come back.
I'm assuming they all come back because I don't understand a plot line. All right, let's discuss that as the last thing as we head towards wrapping up this discussion then. How do you think the next movie is going to go? Do you think they're going to bring back all of the dusted people? And if you think they're only going to bring back some, how do you think they only bring back some and not others? And where do you think the story is generally going to go, Nick?
I think they're going to bring back most, if not all, the dusted characters, and there's going to be sacrifices made of the surviving Avengers, considering they're the original ones mostly.
Like, they're going to give themselves...
There's going to be, at least, I can guarantee there's going to be a sacrifice of either Tony Stark or Rogers, and then the other one goes into retirement for whatever reason or something like that.
Well,
at least, if not like, well, Chris Hemsworth said he's open to doing more Thor movies, and I'm not sure what the go is with the rest of them, but there's going to be
Widow's getting a movie apparently.
Yeah.
So
yeah, so is that funny? That story like came out like 2 days before the movie launch. Like, there's rumors of a movie for her coming out. It's like, okay, that's interesting. Ash, what do you think is going to happen? What's the go?
I think all the dusted people are going to come back, but somebody's going to have to sacrifice themselves. I think obviously Tony Stark's going to be playing a big role because that's why Doctor Strange traded the stone into him alive.
Yeah, that's right.
That's the most important part of this movie when you're thinking about the sequel.
Yeah.
That I thought was a plot hole. No, not a plot hole. That I thought was a badly written character decision for him at first, until I thought about it more. When I first thought about it, my initial reaction to that was, why did he just give up the stone?
Yeah.
When like throughout this whole fucking movie, you've been like, I will let you all die before I give over this stone to anyone. And I was just like, this is shitty writing, blah 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 blah. And then initial reaction as I'm seeing him hand over the stone, Iron Man, all that stuff, I'm just getting angry. And then by the end of the movie, 5 minutes down the road or whatever, the more I start thinking about it, come back to that line. 1,000,000,000 whatever variations of the future I've seen, and only in one of them have I seen us win. He didn't particularly say only in one fight
or win this fight,
or we'll win it fight today. So yeah, I think that is it's very obvious that the only reason he handed over the stone was because the future in which he saw them win was by him handing over the stone and Tony living. So
when this happened, and he also said, I believe it was around the time he was handing over the stone, something about we're in the end game or something.
Yeah, we're in the end game.
Yeah, we're in the end game now. He says to Tony right before he goes. So that and when you think about that, it's such a great character moment for Doctor Strange to do also, because it's him willing to make that dive and pass off his life, because he would be someone that understands that, look, I saw one future in which we win, but his understanding of the future would be down that road of, just because I saw it as a future doesn't mean it's locked in for certain, like it's a future in which we won, but that doesn't mean it's definitely going to happen if I give up my life, give up the stone, etc., etc. He's putting a lot of faith in whatever he saw, and he's putting a lot of faith in Tony and everyone else, I feel like.
Yeah.
I feel like they definitely have to bring back everyone that's dusted as well, just because I don't like a plot element being brought in which they can somehow bring back some but not others. I read a theory online today where people were saying that everyone that was dusted was put in the Soul Stone, not like you were saying about Gamora being in there or whatever. I was reading a theory that everyone that was dusted is in the Soul Stone, so that they can use the Soul Stone or destroy the Soul Stone or some variation to get everyone to come back out. but it's going to be something along those lines. And I definitely feel that Nebula is going to have a big play in it going forward. I don't think in the comics they're going to have Adam Warlock have anything to do with it, because they already said that.
No, in my mind, I think Captain Marvel will take on an Adam Warlock type kind of role.
Yeah. Talk about her then. That's after credit scene. I don't think it was a great after credit scene. It's whatever.
To be honest, I don't think a lot of the after credit scenes are that good. To be
not that great. I was really hoping this one would have a really great after credit scene.
My
But
audience popped
really,
seeing the
a lot of
logo
the
come up.
audience didn't realize what it was in mine.
after
Really?
Captain Marvel sim. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
it is an after credit sequence just to tease the next movie. It didn't really
Yeah.
serve any purpose other than that. So
But now we know that Agent Ross and Nick Fury are dusted as well.
I suppose if you just
And you got to see what the real effect of half the population suddenly disappearing was as well.
I know.
Yeah.
Watch The Leftovers.
That's fair.
I haven't, so it was cool
Yeah.
for me to see.
People dropping out of the sky and stuff. So Captain Marvel's off. Whoop whoop. My biggest problem with this scene, and I was complaining about it for 10 minutes out walking out of the cinema. It was the third scene I complained about it, obviously because it was the last one I saw as I left the cinema. But I'm like, all these fucking movies, all these things that have been happening, Avengers events, all these other people that are coming down.
Yeah.
He's known Captain Marvel since the fucking 90s or whenever this movie's set, and he so happens in this one scene to have a pager sitting on top of the back seat of this car, and I'm like, motherfucker, why haven't you called for her once at all before this? Remember when the world was nearly taken over by Loki and everyone else there? Yeah, where was your fucking pager then that just so happens to be on the back seat of this particular vehicle on this day? Oh my god,
Yeah.
it was too perfect of a moment to set up that teaser for Captain
I think there'll
Marvel.
be something in the Captain Marvel movie that'll say like, only contact me in a very fucking, I don't know, whatever.
Yeah.
There'll be something in there saying,
His pager was in in another place. That's why he couldn't do it during the Avengers.
Yeah.
I also like the fact where he was about to say motherfucker, but they dust him just before he finishes
That
it.
was
Yeah.
very good just for a Semmelek L.
Yeah.
Jackson moment. Yeah. Healed Danny, Hell Danny in the chat just said, why did Fury wait so long? Exactly, that's my point. And then NATO just pointed out that they teased Adam Warlock in one of the 16 million after credits scenes for Guardians 2, which is true. And I think James Gunn has gone on record and said that Adam Warlock's going to be one of the main characters going into Guardians 3. So you're not going to see him show up in
No, I don't
Avengers,
think he'll be in.
the next one anyway. Okay.
I can see Captain Marvel teaming up with Nebula and Iron Man in space.
And doing it, yeah, I'm down for that. I'm 100% down for that. And all I've seen is some costume shots. I mean, I'm down for Captain Marvel showing up. I do think it's too perfectly written. Like, oh, we've had this pager for so long. This is the problem with these movies where they add in characters and they're like, but their backstory set during the 90s or whatever. Like, we've known about her since then. It's like, okay, so why
How do we
wasn't
know
she?
Captain Marvel doesn't get dusted?
That would be funny. It's like the end of
Bit
Captain
awkward.
Marvel. She gets a
Yeah,
pager
the very
and then she
beginning
gets
of
turned into dust.
very beginning of Avengers 4 is like the pager floating in space.
That would be
Oh,
very awkward.
do you
Yes,
think that's going to happen at the end of Ant-Man and the Wasp? One of them's going to be
That
dusted.
that was going to be my last thing. So
Yeah.
when I walked out of the cinema, I was straight away wondering. My number one question to Google was, when is Ant-Man and the Wasp set? When is Ant-Man and the Wasp set? So from what I can gather, it's set before this movie. But that does lead me to the ultimate hope, and it would be such a fucking cool way to end that movie if it ends like with the dusting happening. You know,
Yeah.
so everything going around the shit. That'd be such a great way to end that movie and just remind everyone. And I feel like they kind of need to, because
Yeah,
honestly,
it will definitely be an after credit scene.
it have to be they have to have it in there at some point, because you've got a year to wait and you've got this movie coming out, and I feel like everyone, including myself, is going to be going into Ant-Man going, look, I'm excited for more Ant-Man. Yeah, I'm excited for more. But what the fuck is happening in the actual timeline? Like, it's everything that's happened in Infinity War is kind of put a down note, or not a down note. It just kind of makes the other two movies less exciting to a degree, because you're so hyped on just wanting to know what exactly comes after this.
Yeah.
So if they don't end on the dusting, or don't have an after credit sequence that ends on the dusting, I just feel like that is such a missed opportunity for Ant-Man.
And then in the next Defenders, they go, oh, remember when half of us got dusted? Yeah, that happened.
That was really awkward. Remember, that was a really.
You reckon it's going to pick up right at the end of the movie, or this How long do you think it's going to take?
The timeline, like between the two
Timeline.
movies, I'd just
Yeah.
start straight after. Yeah.
Yeah.
If at
I don't
most,
think
at
it
most,
does.
at most half hour. I think it just takes straight after. I have read people saying, you know, years pass or whatever.
Yeah, that
but
would be cool, I think. Especially if that's going to be the last film for...
Show
Couple
kind
of-
of like a dystopian Earth with like where half
Yeah.
everyone's gone and stuff like that.
Or everything's flourishing because
Yeah.
Thanos was right.
fuck,
Kinda like an
that's a
old
dark
man
timeline.
Logan
If we go down that
Yeah.
the movie story, isn't it? That is a dark timeline. No, I'm just going because of the whole they call Captain Marvel. I don't know how long it takes to travel in space, but judging by Marvel movies, it doesn't actually really take that long to get around to anywhere. They just travel around pretty easy. So if she's got her page up in wherever, up in Scroll Land or whatever the hell she is, then I presume she's going to be popping down pretty fast. And it's just going to be, and that means if they skip ahead years or months, you're going to miss the first interaction with her and whoever part of the Avengers that she bumps into first. So that is the sole reason I'm against the big time jump.
I reckon she can count as Iron Man first, considering
Yeah.
he's already in space. That's
I
how
think
I reckon that's how Iron Man gets back home.
Yeah.
I don't mind that, but it's a very like, oh, I was just on my way past Titan on my way to Earth when I came across
And Iron Man.
An Iron Man. That was quite.
Well, he's
quite
not much Iron Man left because most of his suit got destroyed.
Yeah, that's true.
Nanites, it seems like he's got an infinite amount of nanites.
Yeah, righto.
How'd you feel about the nanites?
I'm
That
over
was
the
it.
nanites. I'm over the
He
fucking
was OP. He was kind of overpowered, wasn't he?
a little.
You just suddenly make anything appear.
Mhm.
It's like a wizard.
All right. Anyone got any wrapping up thoughts on this before we end it then?
I really enjoyed my time with this movie. I think it's
Yeah.
up there on the ranking for me. Like I said, I just got a lot of joy out of this movie, and I think that overcomes what a lot of the problems are for me. Like just as a pure enjoyment. Yeah.
Ash?
Yeah. It's fun to watch.
Fun to watch.
Most of it.
Ashley Hobley,
Everything
2018.
except the forge bit. It's fun.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Wes was coming into this stream today, this video today. Used to kind of like, oh, Dylan, like here we go, let's get into this, because I did give it a 7.5. I don't feel like 7.5. is a bad score.
7.5 is not that bad.
I don't think it's as bad. I know
Jack.
people react like 7.5 is terrible score.
Would you give Spider-Man Homecoming again?
7.5, something like. I think this is better than Spider-Man Homecoming. Scores aren't equal. Like, not everything that's a 7 is next to each other. That's not how scores work. Scores are stupid anyway. I have a
Sure.
lot of problems with this movie, as we've discussed along. I feel like this is probably the best version of this movie that you could get the first time around. I think that they still have time, even though they filmed part 1 and part 2 back to back. You can obviously quick reshoots for anything if they need to, or
Yeah.
there's a lot of stuff you can do in editing room. And I'm
Is
hoping
there enough time? They've got 1 year. They haven't given themselves a lot of leeway.
for some little scenes, especially stuff that you can just chuck someone into a movie lot studio and film on a blue screen or something like that.
It sounded like a lot of this was shot on green screen,
Oh,
like
yeah.
the actors not together and stuff.
Yeah. I've seen, like, if you've seen the
Crazy.
behind the scenes shots and whatever else, it's like they had that shot of Iron Man and Peter and whoever else was standing around there. They had that come out in that video and on set, and it's just like a bunch of scenery and then just green everywhere. My man's obvious. It's space. I
Yeah.
suppose.
They didn't actually go to Titan.
They didn't actually go.
No,
They didn't actually go. to
what I
Titan.
mean, I think I read somewhere that Tom Holland didn't act across from Benedict Cumberbatch.
Oh, really?
really?
That bad? I mean,
At least some parts, yeah.
think about the amount of big name actors in this movie and them trying to get them all the
Yeah.
scheduling conflicts
All right,
and
guys,
whatever
clear
else,
schedule
so-
for this year.
Yeah, it's like just clear your schedule.
Yeah.
But I think this movie is as close to as good as you could get it the first time
Yeah.
around. It's a movie of a scale and precedent that hasn't been attempted before in cinema. Really, nothing quite like this. It is definitely the first of its kind. Such a big scale event movie that's had such a long time building up to it, and I think the main element that this movie needed to work on, which to me was Thanos, and having him be worth the tease and the build up and all the years of waiting, did pay off. And I think that is the most important part, and the reason why this movie is really, really good is because Thanos pays off. And although I have problems with other elements, it doesn't really matter in the long run, because your main core reason to watch this movie works. So I'd suggest watching it if you haven't, but I'm pretty sure everyone has because it's made millions and trillions and billions of dollars.
Hopefully you who are watching this have watched it.
Yeah, because
otherwise,
it's been a spoiler video in case it's a bit awkward, isn't it?
Oh, it's
A little bit
spoilers.
awkward. All right, thank you for watching our spoiler review discussion breakdown. Long ass one this one was, but I suppose it had to be.
The movie.
It had to be at this stage of Avengers: Infinity War. If you have thoughts for Infinity War Part 2, you can tweet them at any of us. Nick, where can people follow you?
It's not going to be called Infinity War Part 2.
You can
I'm
find me
just
right
calling it
after.
that.
You find me right after this on Twitch playing PUBG with my wife.
That's a thing.
Ooh.
Or if you're watching the YouTube video, you can see if he's playing PUBG with his wife right now. I mean, it might be. It might be.
Go check out at Lorna Empire to find out if he is.
If he is, yeah, that's his. That's really. Where can people follow you, Ashley?
You can follow me on Twitter at Ashley Hobley, ASHLEYHOBLEY. It's a thing.
It is indeed a thing. You can follow me on Twitter at Vivaladil, VIVALADIL, and make sure if you're watching on Twitch currently and if you're not following, make sure to hit the follow button wherever it is. I actually don't know where it is. It's up there, isn't it? Yeah, it's up that direction. Hit the heart or whatever the fuck it is. If you're watching this on YouTube, hit the subscribe button. No.
And ring that bell.
Fuck, I hate YouTube these days. Fuck, I hate YouTube so much.
Smash that like button.
Fuck, I hate YouTube.
Leave a comment below.
If you're watching on YouTube, come to our Twitch channel because I prefer you over here. How's about that? You can follow Explosion Network on explosionnetwork.com and you can follow our Twitter at ExplosionPod. All those great many things. We do a movie fortnightly podcast called What Do You Want to Watch, which you can find on all great podcasting services or the website. It is literally called What Do You Wanna Watch? ? Where we talk about movie stuff. So if you like us talking about movies here, you might like that podcast too. That's a really great one. Until next time, bye-bye.